Now, here's a data point that blows my mind. So if you start to do the research on the top podcast, as we talked about, a meaningful number of them are NPR, you see reported numbers in the 100 million download a month range.
Yeah, we're talking about NPR's top shows, right?
Top podcast in the world.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little earlier this past summer, Joe Rogan announced on his show 130 million downloads a month. Now, get your head around this. The Emmy Awards were just on TV, and that's a fairly popular show. And the reported number of viewers for this year's Emmy Awards were 11.4 million on CBS, and that was even with last year, according to the Los Angeles Times. So now think about this for a sec. 11.4 million for the Emmy Awards. Rogan does 130 million a month. Let's say he averages 3 shows a week. I don't know if that's right, but it sort of seems pretty right. So, and let's say there's 5 weeks in a month. So that's 15 shows a month. That's 8.6 million downloads per show. So an episode of Joe Rogan where he and his buddies are smoking pot, drinking Jack Daniels, talking about the fights, gets 8.6, and it costs them $0 to produce and $0 to distribute, gets 8.6 million downloads, and the fucking Emmy Awards gets 11.5.
Yeah, if you look at that as purely a media buy, the numbers are amazing of what you would have to do to buy that much media.
Yeah.
And so it's insane. And Matt, you told me a while ago, is this still right? Do you know that the average podcast, and there's about 400,000 if I remember right, gets about 200 downloads a show? Is that still based on what you guys know about, right?
As far as I know.
So you think about it, you go, okay, Rogan's at 8.6 and the average podcast is at 200. But even in a business context, if you were a, quote unquote thought leader and you wanted to perpetuate your thoughtness around and
you wanted to perpetuate your thoughtness?
Hey, we're drinking scotch and we're perpetuating the thoughtness.
That may be the key quote of this show.
And so if you were invited to give a speech to a local something gathering of whatever type of executive or leader or whatever the fuck you talk to of 200 people, and they were going to treat you well and so forth and so on, you might consider going to give that talk, a talk in front of 200 of the right people for, you tell me, Tom, but for a lot of business wannabe thought leaders, that's a big opportunity if you're going to get like your ass trained at Toastmasters and right? Like, I don't know, you tell me, even 200, which sounds like a small number, if they're a qualified 200, could be a very important 200 to speak to.
I spoke at a meeting probably 3 or 4 months ago up in East Lansing. Great. I got invited by the HubSpot user group, having a good time during the talk.
Hey, Tom, you went to the HubSpot user group in East Lansing, Michigan.
I mean, that's a big one. But I had to stop in the middle of it.
I love you for doing that, Tom.
You know what the abbreviation is? It's the Hugs group.
Oh, isn't that nice?
That's
isn't
great.
That nice, man?
I had to stop in the middle of it and go.
Because they're so close to Canada, they're so nice.
Eh? It's north of most parts of Canada, or some parts of Canada.
Yeah.
So I went there, and it's like in the middle of it, I had to say, this is the smallest group of people I have talked to in months, right? It was like 75 people. A great crowd. Loved being there. But it was like I had to drive hour and a half to get there. Was up there drinking the free drinks and everything, and then drive home.
Always nice.
Yeah, but what was that? Probably 5 hours to speak to 75 people. Whereas, you get on a podcast, average podcast is going to be bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the interesting thing. It's like the numbers don't have to be huge to have a huge impact, depending on what you're up to, right?
Right. So do you guys know what pickleball is?
No, but now we're intrigued.
Oh,
can you do it while you're drinking scotch?
Yes, I'm sure you can.
Is this conversation about to trend in a sexual direction, Tom?
Pickleball.
No, not that version.
Okay,
of
I mean,
pickleball.
look, this
There-
is Legends and Losers, but still, it would, don't
I
freak
just
me
got
out.
you.
Don't
I
freak me
just
out
got
too
you the
much.
explicit rating just for mentioning pickleball. I guess it's some indoor like ping pong game. Well, there is 6 podcasts devoted to pickleball. If you
Oh my
had
God.
the best pickleball equipment, how would you ever target listeners
If I wanted to be the category king of
of
pickleball
pickleball?
equipment, how would I get to my audience, Tom?
I just do you start a podcast, right? That or start a television station uh, devoted to that. And to me, one is a whole lot easier than the other.
Well, that's the incredible thing. It's like really with a smartphone, you can launch a broadcast network essentially if you wanted to go that cheap with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure can. You can use stuff like Anchor, the app, to record. Like you, essentially, if you want to do like just a you spoken word podcast, you could hook up a smart lav into your iPhone and start a podcast on Anchor. Just record it, publish it, bam, it's out there.
Wow.
Yeah.